everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, on a beautiful sunny day in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking about superstitions and unlucky numbers and knocking on wood, so forth and so on.
In the immortal words of one Stephen Wonder, when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer.
Oh. Well, all right.
Superstitions, not the way.
All right.
I love that song. That is one of the great songs of all time. Ironic that it was sung by a hyper-Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But, well, that's the thing, though, Dan. Everybody dislikes other people's superstition.
Right?
Right.
They're being ridiculous, but I'm being totally reasonable right
Exactly. All right. First up, we have some stories of the week that we need to get through. And this one, you know how there have been recent court decisions, U.S. Supreme Court decisions, that are basically now allowing businesses to enforce their owners' religious
They're
beliefs.
sincerely held religious
Yes.
beliefs.
And so this story is ultimately an example of what happens when you go down this road.
Wait, you're saying that there might be consequences?
There might be consequences, and we've heard of employer-based health insurance being kind of an issue. Right. With this specific topic, right, where the employer doesn't like, some activity, birth control, right? And so they refuse to cover birth control. This one has to do with a company that doesn't like trans people.
Well, why would they? Out there being a gender they weren't assigned at birth. It's very troubling.
Indeed. It's a manufacturing company, in fact. And one of their machinists, Lillian Bernier, who's been an employee of the company since, which is called TurboCam, since 2019. She began transitioning a year into her employment with them. And because they have a mission as a manufacturing company that has machinists in their employ that, is all about God, right? Which doesn't make an ounce of sense. That's not their mission. Their mission is not to give glory to God.
Manufacturing for Jesus.
Right. That cannot be a thing. That's, if you want to be a religious organization, then be a religious organization.
Right.
But if you're making cogs and sprockets or whatnot,
right? Unless you're printing Bibles, shut the fuck up.
Which cogs and sprockets? Yes, I was thinking of the Jetsons. Everybody.
Of course you were.
I don't know how that just happened, but anyway. So their health insurance does not cover anything trans, basically.
No gender affirming care.
Exactly. Right. Even though this is healthcare that their employee needs, because the company will not pay for gender dysphoria treatment, including but not limited to counseling, gender reassignment, surgery, or hormone therapy, and related preoperative and postoperative procedures, which, as their objective, change the person's sex and any related complications. So they're not going near it. Well, Bernier's suing.
Good.
Because she feels like, and along with her lawyers, they feel like this is, the company's in New Hampshire, that it is a violation of the state's Human Rights Act and the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which of course is federal law, and the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so
that's tricky. Is there a danger that they're labeling trans a disability?
I don't know. I don't know how they would be applying it, but I would assume, I'm not entirely sure.
I want them to use the law in any way they can to get this woman money.
Right.
But But that seems a little to me.
I'm sure
maybe some of our legal experts out there.
I'm sure there's like
chime in.
something in the Americans with Disabilities Act that isn't specifically about, disability, right? That this is applying to. Like, I remember there being something about the American, like just at work in some training, we were talking about the American with Disabilities Act, as far as like healthcare. Like, I'm fairly confident that it somehow extends into that it's more broad and it has been applied more broadly. That's kind of what I remember than how you might expect it to have been applied. So that's probably why they're using that act.
For those of you not from these United States, the Americans with Disabilities Act is actually one of the few like successful, good things that our legislatures have ever done, because it actually protects people with disabilities quite substantially in ways that, like, when I went to London with my friend who is a quadriplegic, it became very clear that, not every country has an ADA.
Yeah, you walk around England and you're like, look at all of these ADA violations.
Right. You are not complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act. What's happening?
No, it's true. It was it was a very, I think it came into effect in the 90s, if I remember right. And it's been transformative. And it is so broad, and it affects so many different aspects of American life for the better, right?
Yeah,
but
and it turns out to actually help people without disabilities quite a lot too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's great.
Yeah. But if you've ever noticed that, like, the curbs in your neighborhood that used to require a step to get up on now have a nice little cutout. I mean, that's Americans with Disabilities Act, like it's everything. Ramps, accessibility ramps, but then it also goes into employment law, right? Like, it's very broad.
Yep. But apparently, I'm just, for the record, the official policy of TGIA, which is meaningless, is that being trans is not a disability.
Correct. Yeah, fair. That's a good point to make.
Yeah, whatever gets that trans person the justice that they need.
And the healthcare coverage.
And the healthcare.
And this bullshit of companies acting like, I'm sorry, you just can't, you make some sort of, you manufacture something. You're a machine shop for something, right? Like, fuck off with the God shit, right? Like,
oh, what country do you think you're living in, sir?
I just feel like our employment law needs to start extending more into that.
So much of our law needs to start doing a better job with this sort of thing, but we're not there.
Yeah. We
are definitely not there. All right. So with that bad news out of the way, I've got some good news here. And that is that some new polling has been done by the Survey Center on American Life. And what we've got is the pandemic has helped a bunch of people.
Oh.
It has also killed a bunch of people. So I'm not saying it was a good thing. But what I am saying is that there were a bunch of Americans who were going to church on the reg or occasionally who are now not doing that anymore.
Yay!
As we have learned on this show multiple times, the second that you you stop going for a little bit. If it's only a little bit, then you go back. But if you stop going for 6 months, a year, whatever, you start to realize that it hasn't made your life worse to stop going to church. So, from pre-pandemic times, the percent of Americans who regularly attended church before 2020 was about 26%.
That regularly
regularly attended church.
Okay.
I assume that means at least more than monthly.
With some parts of the country doing the heavy lifting on that one.
Yes, indeed. Our part of the country does a really good job with that one. That was 26% before the pandemic. In spring of 2022, 24%.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic, people who occasionally went, and I'm sure I have a definition for what occasionally means here somewhere, but I can't find it. 10% of people went occasionally.
Okay.
That dropped to 8%.
Okay.
And then 39%, that's by far the biggest, pre-pandemic, by far the biggest demographic was 39% who went infrequently. And now, spring of 2022 has dropped from 39 to 36%.
Huh. Okay. I would have expected more on that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, infrequently, there's not a lot of onus on you. If you're going, if you're Easter and Christmas already.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
You can manage Easter and Christmas still. Like, your life has not changed much. But still, even they lost 3 percentage points. So it's a pretty significant drop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about 26 to 24% of the whole, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, 2 percentage points. But if you actually like look at that 26% as actually being a community that of 100% of people, right? If that makes any sense, right? Like there were churches. What's the percentage of drop off at those churches?
Right.
When you look at that, you kind of shift
in
the
an
numbers
individual
around.
Congregation.
Yeah. It's
that 26 to 24 looks a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we're seeing that here. Like we've talked about it a little bit on the show, but Mormon churches are dropping like flies.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend just this week,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying that in an area of the Salt Lake Valley called Daybreak. Salt Lakers will know what that is. It's kind of Stepford here in Utah.
It's a planned community. It's a master planned community that people like to shit on because it's a little too cute for them.
It's actually the cutest of the master planned communities by far.
The amenities are fantastic.
Yeah.
Like
it's definite, but
if it wasn't
also,
where it was, I would live there.
But also,
because the homes, anyway,
if you drive through it, you will be thinking of every dystopian, like every movie that's ever tried to present a utopia that was actually a dystopia takes place there.
Okay, all right.
The recent one with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles, it takes place there. That's where.
Oh, they shot it in Daybreak?
No, it's just the place that it takes place.
Oh, okay.
Not in real life, just in my mind. Anyway, the Mormon Church is prominent there, is huge there, but it grew and grew and grew, and then since the pandemic, it is contracting like mad. Like something like multiple stakes. Those of you without Mormon background, I apologize. A stake is like it's a
like
diocese.
A diocese. Yeah, there you go.
And multiple stakes have been combined into a single stake.
No.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
And multiple wards, that would be like a congregation, combined into single wards.
Yeah.
It's happening, people.
No,
it's happening.
It's true. Well, I mean, the whole, again, we're really talking about Salt Lake here a lot, but like we're talking about Mormons essentially. But
look, you sculpt with the clay that you've got.
But the whole, it's basically like the whole eastern side of the valley is not very Mormon anymore.
No.
It's really strange. Like places like Sandy and Draper, they're just not as, I mean, still a lot of Mormons. There's still a lot of Mormons, but like there just aren't the numbers that there used to be. And it doesn't have that feel. Like there's a feel when you go down into like Provo and Orem, right? And down in American Fork, down in Utah County, right?
It's creepy.
There's a creepiness to the whole thing. You just don't feel that anymore on the eastern side of the valley. It's really weird.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get into some quick numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest drop in terms of people stopping going to church, it won't surprise you. Liberals, pre-pandemic, they were going at 31%. Now they're 46% not going. I guess 46%.
Not going. Okay.
Not going at all.
Okay.
Were never married. Those who were never married, that was a big drop.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Churches for families, right?
Well,
like,
and for people,
the church. I mean, the social aspect of a lot of church. And again, speaking from a Mormon perspective, there's so much pressure to like get married, have kids.
Yeah.
And if you're a single person, never married person, starting to age, like I think Mormon wards have a hard time finding a place for you. And I can imagine it being similar in other churches, conservative churches.
Yeah. The next biggest category was those aged 18 to 29. No surprise there.
Yeah, okay.
And then the next biggest category was those aged 30 to 49. Also no surprise.
Us. Our group.
That am we. So that's good. Right. So yeah, it goes down from there. Men dropped out much more than women.
Okay.
There's something. Yeah, what is it about women that they commit more hard to religion than the men do?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. We need to save them. We need to help them. Someone please think of the ladies. Yeah, and it goes down from there.
Yeah.
If surprisingly, lower education led to more decline in worship. So high school or less has a higher decline than some college, which has a higher decline than college graduates.
Wait,
which has a higher decline than postgraduates. I think that's interesting.
That's almost exact opposite of what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you said higher decline for those groups.
Yeah.
Maybe we've already done everything we can with the college educated, and now the rest of the folk are catching on.
Yeah, something.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. I mean, maybe it's just to do with they're good at commitment. The college educated.
Who knows? All right. Well, Dan, actually, if you're finished, this topic segues nicely into my next story, which has to do with the religious composition of the incoming 118th Congress.
And as of right now, we actually have a house.
Yeah.
And people can be sworn in and stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say a functioning house, but
yeah, that seems like a stretch.
It's not going to be functioning. It functions strictly on paper at this point. I don't know if in reality it's going to be that functional, but they can at least actually establish rules and do what they need to that way. Form committees and whatnot. Yeah. So as always, the political figures in the United States and our representatives in Congress are way out of whack. It's so disproportionate to the reality on the ground as far as the religious makeup of Congress. The article points out that nearly 3 in 10 Americans claim no religious affiliation, but that only two of the 534 incoming members of Congress claim no religious affiliation. That's both houses of Congress.
Wow.
That's the House of Representatives and the Senate. And the 534, if anybody out there actually knows that it should be 535, somebody passed away after being elected, and so they're not counting that person. Right. That's why that number's off. But the two people that represent all of us, U.S. Representative Jared Huffman of California,
right,
who identifies as humanist.
And the next one is very disappointing.
Kirsten Sinema. Burr, burr. I don't know how you guys feel about Kirsten Sinema. I'm not a fan.
No, she's literally just an agent of chaos. She has not done anything good for our country except throw us into more chaos.
I'm so disappointed with Kirsten Sinema.
Yeah.
There are apparently 20 other members of Congress who have unknown religious affiliations because they either did not answer the query that was sent to them about this, or because the answers are otherwise muddled, such as in the case of New York Republican George Santos,
who is all. He just answered all.
Yeah.
What religion do you want me to be?
Yeah.
What religion? What,
exactly
wait, you're going to donate? I'm whatever religion you are.
And so they're not counting whatever he said to count toward anything.
No.
But yeah, 88% of the current members of Congress identify as Christian, compared with only 63% of the U.S. adults overall. That includes 53% of Congress who identify as Protestant and 28% as Catholic, both higher than national rates. Interesting, 6% of members of Congress identify as Jewish, compared with 2% of the overall population.
Yeah.
So this really makes me sort of wonder, like I think that the reason that we're not seeing more atheist or non-belief representation in Congress is because we are scattered about the country, right? We're sort of evenly distributed. There's few districts in the country that would maybe be even nearing majority non-belief in any sort of like official real way.
Way to go, Washington State. We got a couple really cool places in Washington State that are pretty darn non-religious.
Well, and I'm just wondering if we need to take over a state or two at this point.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to do we not have a call to atheists, right? Hey, atheists, move to Washington State. Or wherever, right?
Listen, we're taking over Wyoming.
Why not? It would be easy. It wouldn't take that many of us.
There's only 17 people that live in Wyoming.
The real number's in the 300,000s, I believe. And yeah, so I don't know.
All we need is 300,000 people who can work from home. Just go out. We'll just take over one city. We'll pick a city that's got gorgeous views.
You start with a city
and cheap land.
Yeah.
And then we'll just call it Liberalton.
Yeah.
And we'll make that the new capital of Wyoming. Why
not? I don't know. Like, I don't think Wyoming's the answer, but I'm like, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Would you want to live around a bunch of atheists?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Definitively so. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Oh, would you feel a draw if there was a call made? Would you be like, "Oh, yes. Move west, young man," right? Like, we need something like that.
I'd be tempted. If we were all going to if it was really happening, if it was like suddenly really happening, of course there would be a counter call. This is the problem. Suddenly there'd be a whole bunch of Jesus freaks who would move into Jesuston.
Yeah.
14 miles away.
Oh, I hate the people in Jesuston.
Yeah, I know.
They're the worst.
Okay, well, speaking of Jesuston, or rather of places that are named after Christian stuff, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Is home to a Christian-affiliated college called, or university, Hamline. I'm sure it's Hamlin, but I'm going to call it Hamline University because that makes me giggle.
Okay.
But there has been a dust-up. There has been trouble at Hamline University.
No.
Because an art history instructor did a thing. Oh. Now, I actually learned something when reading about this story because I had assumed, we know that if you draw a picture of the Prophet Mohammed, you will be bombed in the modern era. It's just kind of what they do at this point. Because there is a prohibition, and has been for a long time, a prohibition on rendering the image of the prophet. They don't seem to recognize that that's for them and not for the rest of the world, but so be it. They don't like that concept.
Right.
No pictures of their prophet.
And nor can you look at one. If one happens to exist, you're not even supposed to look at it, right?
I guess so, because here's the thing. This professor decided to show an image that was a painting that was of the Prophet Muhammad. Now that sounds like it would be bad.
Yeah.
But let me give you a little bit of a background on this. The instructor gave both written and verbal notification that this image was going to be shown and allowed students to not look at it if they opted not to.
Shield your eyes.
If you don't want to see this, it's a coming. It's fine for you not to look. Okay. I think that is a heck of a lot of over back bending.
Okay.
So there we go. That's the first thing. Here's the other thing. This was painted by a Muslim. This is a 13th century, I think, 14th century painting.
Oh.
And apparently that was a thing.
Oh.
Back in the middle in the Middle Ages and in other eras, the prohibition against making images of the prophet was not enforced in the way that it is now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had no idea that this was true. But our, Religion News Service reached out to several Muslim scholars who all agreed. As a matter of fact, they reached out to one named Omid Safi at Duke University. He's a professor of Asian and Middle Eastern studies at Duke.
Okay.
Who said, I tell my students we're going to be looking at Muslim devotional art. I know some students may not have seen this before, and some may even have been told it's not done, but it's a historic part of the tradition. And unlike the professor at Hamline, Safi doesn't give his students a chance to get out of it.
Oh.
You have to look at it.
Wow. Okay.
And Safi is a Muslim.
Okay.
So
wow.
I think so. Anyway, this is the thing. Like, the scholarship is clear that these images existed, that they are part of the Muslim history and the cultural history of Islam. But just like with so many religions, though the scholarship is clear, though everyone who studies it understands that this is normal and it's part of the thing, the people on the ground, the constituents, the congregations don't know that. And they freak out. And we've seen this a lot with Mormons too. Like, it happens in all of the religions. Christians constantly have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about their own Bible. They are wrong forever, constantly. And the scholarship is clear on it and solid. The data is there. They can point to you why they are wrong, and they just don't know. Like the Christians on the ground, the Muslims on the ground, the individuals within the religion have no fucking idea what their own history is.
Right. Okay.
So there you go.
So what happened to this professor? Wait, did you get to that?
Oh, the professor has been summarily dismissed. Or rather, his contract has not been re-upped.
Oh, that old game.
Wow.
All right.
And a class that he was set to teach this semester has been canceled. Now, there are a lot of people calling for his reinstatement.
Seems appropriate.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, that is I learned something. I thought that was really interesting, and I hope that guy finds a better place than
Hamline.
All right, teaches.
All right, Dan. This story, I'm just going to say right now, if you're listening with a child or you don't like stories about sexual abuse, skip ahead a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Because this one is, I feel the need on this one to actually get into a few of the details, because just feel like it's really important to the point of the whole thing, right? So this is the story of Dennis Wallace Perkins, a 47-year-old former Louisiana sheriff's deputy who has been sentenced to 100 years in state prison on this last Tuesday after he pleaded guilty to 1 count of second-degree rape, 2 counts of sexual battery of a child, 1 count of video voyeurism, 2 counts of production of pornography involving children under the age of 13, and 1 count of mingling of harmful substances, which we'll get to momentarily. Yikes. Let's see. In addition to testimony from victims, investigators reportedly seized a trove of incriminating media when they raided the home Perkins shared. Oh, and the home that Perkins shared with his wife, who also is a part of this whole thing that we're going to be getting to. They recovered more than 2,600 photos, 300 videos, and 300 videos that depicted illegal content. And Assistant Attorney General Barry Milligan, let's see, he said that the case was the worst he has personally ever seen. Perkins' crimes reportedly involved 2 child victims, 2 adults, and 1 dog.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't prepared for that.
No, I know.
The dog got me. I feel like you had trigger warned me for everything but the dog.
Let's get back to mingling of harmful substances.
Okay.
Because this also, I don't know if you're ready for, Dan.
Okay.
Perkins and his wife, 36-year-old Cynthia T. Perkins, okay, here it is, used his semen to season cake batter, which she then served to students at Westside Junior High School, where Cynthia had been previously employed as an English teacher. Okay. How do you, so you do it, right? How do you get caught? Oh, remember all those videos they confiscated?
Oh my God.
Perkins filmed himself
creating the substance,
helping to season the cake batter, I suppose.
Wow.
So all of this heinous, awful, horrible crime, right?
Yeah.
Here's what he said prior to his sentencing. I'm sorry. It's been more than 3 years living in a box, and it's not about me. I just want to make this statement. Jesus Christ has forgiven me. Okay, wait for it. Wait for it. And I'm grateful for that. And I hope and pray that anybody that is affected will also find forgiveness and healing through Jesus Christ. So what he's saying there, in his mind, he already stands a better chance of getting into heaven than any of his victims who maybe haven't accepted Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that is the story. I read this and was so fucking outraged. I am so outraged by this whole thing. Because this is this is what Christianity, this is what belief lets people get away with, right? This is how he's able to, he somehow has accepted Jesus Christ. And the fact that he ejaculated into cookie or into cake and then served it to children.
Don't worry. He's forgiven. Frank.
He's forgiven. And somehow a better person than anybody who hasn't accepted Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Including his victims.
And
most especially his victims.
I think it's so funny because you get Christians talking and they will tell you, like, they can't imagine a more beautiful concept than this universal forgiveness that God doles out and all you got to do is ask.
Yeah.
And look, I'm a fan of forgiveness. I have forgiven many people who have done bad, wrong to me. but like, shut up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
In this case, this kind of forgiveness, this is not. No. Forgiveness is not for Jesus to give on this thing.
No.
Forgiveness is purely owned by the victims. It is not owned by any, and no God owns the forgiveness
Yeah.
for these crimes.
Or any crime against another person. Right?
Right.
Like, it's sick. It's really sick that that you don't have to get the forgiveness of your victims.
Right.
Right? You can just dream up your forgiveness to make you feel better.
Your imaginary friend can take care of it.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
You apologize, to Jesus, and Jesus says, "Oh, it's okay." Right?
I forgive you.
Did you feed him one of the cupcakes?
Right?
Because I think if he had, he probably wouldn't.
Yeah. Or at very least, you'd have to go through a bit stronger of a process than just, "Dear Jeebus, I'm sorry. The end. I win."
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you get to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Good. Fuck you. I'm
Well,
so pissed by that story. And I really debated about whether sharing it on the show, because it was like, I don't like stories like that.
no.
But it just, fucking hell.
It's it's amazing. Well, I've got some more sad news for everyone who I guess we're recording as we learned, we're recording on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, Frank. If you're Orthodox,
Right.
we're recording on Christmas Day. If you're Russian Orthodox, sorry. Anywho, we've missed the window to buy our loved ones this as a Christmas present, but there is a new product out. You may want to do it anyway. This is brought to us by the holiest of all of the families in the United States of America.
Okay.
One Donald Trump Jr.
Okay.
has a new product.
Another one?
He's unleashed on the world, and that is the We the People Bible.
Oh no.
What you might ask?
What?
What work did they put into the Bible to give us this this new amazing product? By the way, the We the People. I'm going to describe it for you. I'll just say this.
I don't know what this is.
It is as they put it. Where they put it, a tried and true King James translation.
Okay.
Which they abbreviate KJV. Now, if you notice that translation doesn't begin with a V, it's because the King James Version is not a translation. It is a version. It is a conglomeration of different translations, but it is not a translation. They don't even know that. That is how unversed in the Bible this obvious bald-faced money grab is. The only thing that sets this Bible apart from another version of the King James Bible is that it is sort of gray with black. It's black on gray, and it's got like a sort of tattered, reversed American flag with the words "We the People" on it. So
Gross.
That's it. And you can have this beautiful Bible if you just want the Bible. If that's all you're looking for, you can have it for the low price of $69.99. That's right, only $70 for a Bible in a version that you already have at your house.
Right.
But it doesn't stop there. You can get the
There's
Patriot
more?
Bundle.
Wait, there's more?
But wait, there's more. Act now, and for only $99.99, that's a savings of $16.
Oh.
You can $17. You can get the Patriot Bundle, which includes obviously the Bible, but also a challenge coin. I don't know what makes it a challenge coin, but it's a challenge coin, a commemorative coin, a bookmark. Because you don't want to lose your place in this book that you are definitely never going to read. And an American flag lapel pin.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a great
that's really good.
combination of items.
Yeah, for $25 more than that, a measly $25 more than that, you can get the Liberty Bundle, which includes everything in the Patriot Bundle, but also a T-shirt.
These people.
And for only $25 more than that, you can get the Save America Bundle.
Oh, no.
Care to guess what the additional item is that will save America?
A signed photo of Donald J. Trump.
It is a hat. A gray on black baseball cap.
Good Lord.
So, very exciting.
Jesus, these people.
Yeah.
And the really, really sad thing is people are going to buy this.
A few people are.
I suspect that a lot of people will.
Yeah.
There's a quote
from Don Jr. On the website, right on the front page of the website. It says, "Faith is being targeted and our country's founding beliefs are being targeted." That's true, but not in the way he understands it.
Yeah.
The We the People Bible is restoring what there is. Is restoring what there is an attempt to remove. Well written sentence there. Preservation of faith, preservation of America. Oh, God bless you, Donald Trump Jr. Does the Bible have a place? Can you snort coke off of the We the People Bible? Because that's probably the use that he would put to it.
Oy, oy, oy. All right.
Well, if you would like to tell us about the Bible you have in your home, feel free to. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank.
Dan.
Our favorite Jerry Lewis lookalike, Shane Vaughn.
It's so
Pastor
true.
Shane Vaughn. You know, here's the thing. We're starting to get a lot of, I'm starting to see a lot of pastors talking about sort of justifying all of the prophetic words that said that Trump would be back in office all of these times. We just passed another milestone, like January 6th of this year was supposed to be the date that the Supreme Court reinstated him. And it just keeps not happening. God. And they keep having to sort of like, it's probably something you said, man. Anyway, listen, they don't want you to give up your faith in their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump.
Oh.
And Shane Vaughn has some big words about it.
Only God's hand, only Yahweh's hand, the Almighty Yah of Israel can save America now. And the only way he can do it is with his hands. He did it in the Old Testament through a leader called Jeroboam, and he's going to do it again with a leader called Donald Trump and an army of truth. That army of truth is you. And ladies and gentlemen, you must never give up the faith. Do you even care anymore? There are some of you watching me right now that are even looking at other candidates, Ron DeSantis and others. Shame on you. Hear the voice of truth. Yahweh raised up a deliverer for the nation of America to deliver her from the lies with the strength of truth. And I don't care who takes that out of context. Be my guest. God raised up a man and is going to raise him up again. And if you get off the Trump train, you're going to get on the trash train that goes to nowhere but the dump. The train, ladies and gentlemen. Recognize the hand of God on a man. Recognize his hand on a leader. Get behind him with his flaws. Whatever it is, get behind him and you'll be blessed. I said, you will be blessed. Yahweh has blessed me beyond your wildest imaginations because I stood for Donald Trump.
I mean,
this man has a nice turn of phrase.
I do think that, like, this dude has way more money than I would imagine he would ever get for this kind of nonsense. So, yeah, you have been blessed beyond what I would have imagined you would be blessed.
Boy, but you better stay off that trash train that goes to the dump.
Yeah. Welcome to Garbageville, those of you who want Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Did he try it? Is it me, or did he try and make Ron DeSantis' name sound a little more like Mexican-y?
Oh. Maybe. Or he just literally just doesn't, just doesn't
this
get
is one of
things
those
right.
moments
Like,
where
doesn't
it
get
becomes
those details right.
Yeah. This is one of those moments where it becomes so clear. Anyone who ever writes into us and says, I just wish you wouldn't do so much politics. You're supposed to be about religion.
Oh, good.
Literally, you can't separate them.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what the show kind of has become, is the intersection of religion and politics,
Because they keep doing this shit.
Because it's not us. We didn't do this.
Yeah.
Right?
The second that this guy stops yelling at his people that they have to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
In direct violation of the laws of this land in terms of the Johnson Amendment and whatever.
Like, we literally wanted to make a show that made fun of, like, the Pope's hat. Like, that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah. And in fairness, that hat is ridiculous. He's got the yarmulke, and then he's got a napkin fold.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, we had some listeners reach out to us. I think I'm going to open us up with a voicemail from Teresa.
Oh, all right.
Do you want to tell us what this is?
Yeah, this is, she's calling to talk about the Unitarian Universalists. Let's just let her tell the story.
Okay.
Hi, Dan. This is Teresa English, friend of the show, and former politician. I wanted to reach out and provide perhaps something that would bring a little extra Christmas joy. And that is to get involved or attend your local Unitarian Universalist church. Lots of them do things that go far beyond drum circles and Saturnalia. In fact, my specific church is doing a huge Christmas Eve service, and we'll be live streaming it. I checked out the Salt Lake City UU church, and they seem pretty great. So here's a plug for Unitarian Universalism. It allows you to have the fun sorts of things like singing and harmonizing with other people, along with the space to be your authentic self with all of your partners. Which I'm sure may be important to more than one of you in your household. So anyway, I hope that helped. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that.
Well, that is lovely. I think Teresa might be surprised to learn that I've been to many a Unitarian Universalist Christmas.
Oh, have you? Really?
I have indeed.
That surprises me, Dan.
Yeah, well, my first wife was a paid ringer in the downtown Salt Lake City UU church choir.
Oh, like the bell ringer?
No, she was no. No, she was just she was paid to be the best singer in the choir. She was paid to be a good singer who kept
okay.
tuning
Because,
it
that's the
correctly.
thing. Bell choirs are...
Yes, it is. It is. Ringer might be I can see how that would be a confusing term in this context. But no, she was paid to be in the choir and keep it sounding nice. So I would go.
Okay.
And Teresa's right. Like, if nothing else, it is delightful to watch the pastor and the hymnal and everything bending over backwards to try to keep Jesus out of Christmas. It is hilarious. It is delightful. It is literally, you open up the hymnal and then, now we're going to sing Joy to the World. And I'm like, how are they going to do this one? And it's literally, joy to the world, the word is come. They've changed. They can't. It is a hoot to watch. And the nice thing, and I will say this, the nice thing about it is that what you have, unlike Mormon church that you and I grew up in, it is refreshing to have someone with, a doctorate degree in giving a good talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's nice to be able to go and have someone, invoke the poets and the philosophers, and you hear some great. If you've got a good one, a good pastor, you hear some really touching, very deep, very moving sermons.
Yeah.
And I liked that. What I didn't like was that anyone who thinks that you and I are too liberal on our show needs to go to a Unitarian Universalist thing, because shit gets political in that building. And I was just, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah. Well,
even though I agreed with it, I was just like, this is a bit much, you guys.
yeah.
It's a bit much.
Yeah. I think it's a good one to point out that the Unitarian Universalists are there.
Definitely.
And,
if you're missing the community of church that you had with church, that is a fucking good option for you. You don't have to, they don't care what you believe. Two of the women that were in the choir with my wife were, these lesbian pagan witches.
Yeah.
And that was nobody had a problem with that. They were there because they like to sing in a group, and they were welcome.
That's awesome.
Anyway, we you know what? Actually, let's do the other voicemail. Now.
Yeah, this one is someone sharing a story about an experience that he had on a plane, and just sort of the ways that people, sort of the religious people, that they feel sort of a right to kind of butt into your business, I guess.
Oh my God. Do they ever? All right, here we go.
Hi, Frank and Dan. This is Mark. I've called you guys a couple times. I just had a little short story about sort of religious overstepping. I was on a plane to Sacramento, California, and this was to go to something called MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Services. I'm joining the Coast Guard, and I brought two books along. I brought ASVAB for Dummies, which is just a study book for a test I was going to have to take, and the second book was The Founding Myth by Andrew Seidel. On the plane, I had a gentleman to my right who first observed me reading the ASVAB for Dummies book, and he said to me, "Hey, I see you're studying for the ASVAB. What service are you going into?" I said, U.S. Coast Guard. He said, "Thank you for your future service, blah, blah, blah. We're happy to see you joining." I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited for it." And sort of parted ways from that conversation. And I got bored of that, so I pulled out my second book, which, again, The Founding Myth by Andrew Seidel. And I was on a particularly scathing page on Christian nationalism when I found myself being observed. The gentleman on my right yet again. His eyes sort of gazing at the pages, and I knew it was coming. He asks, "What are you reading?" And I say, "Well, The Founding Myth. It's sort of a review on Christian nationalism and how current problem in the United States. He says, "Are you a believer?" And I say, "No, I'm not. I just feel that people's religious beliefs and opinions shouldn't influence American, culture and politics." So he says, "Okay, well, you're joining the military. What if you die? Have you thought about that?" It went from a cordial, thank you for, joining, to what if you die? Which, I found that to be a gross overstep from a random ass guy sitting on a plane next to me. And we had a sort of a semi, civil conversation about Christianity and, problems with the Bible and why I don't believe. And it was just, I don't see that as appropriate. And I don't think you guys would either. So I just thought I'd share it. Thank you guys. Keep up the podcast. It's a peak of my week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
What if you die, Mark? Mark? They think they've got such a gotcha. I mean, literally, if someone said that to me, I don't know that I'd be able to prevent myself from going, "Oh my God, I hadn't thought of that. I'm mortal?" Well, now that changes everything.
Yeah.
What a fucking dipshit response.
First of all, there's just something like, I guess, what if you die? That's like isn't that the elephant in the room of military service? You don't come out and say it.
No.
Like, that's outrageous.
It's, listen, I had a friend who one time his buddy went to jail. And when he got out, the first thing my friend said to him, because my friend was an idiot, was, "So did you get raped?" No, there are certain things you don't say to a person in a specific situation. There's always, and reminding a military person, like, you literally just canceled out your thank you for your service. That nice thing you said before, you just canceled that.
You're going to die and you're going to hell.
Yeah, exactly. What a piece of shit. And yeah, maybe a little bit all the way rude. To first, just don't read over somebody's shoulder.
Oh, it's
You know
a
what I mean?
plane.
Like,
it's a plane.
Everything about that was wrong.
You're so close to the person.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
probably would.
You can feel them reading over your shoulder. I'm sure,
But yeah, if somebody's reading a book next to you, you kind of glance. You're gonna do the glance.
You gotta know.
You gotta know what they're up to.
Like, who are you sitting next to? You kind of gotta know.
But this is a call to all of you who travel frequently and read on the plane. This is the kind of book you need to be reading.
Yeah.
Get yourself The Founding Myth by Seidel. Get yourself anything about, the Satanic Temple or let's shock some people.
Yeah.
And then be prepared for what's about to come. But I'm proud of you for reading Seidel. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Carlos wrote into us to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I jokingly refer to myself as a recovering Pentecostal Christian." That's not a joke. That takes recovery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't need to joke about that. That is legit. I jokingly refer to myself as a recovering Pentecostal Christian who used to work as an ordained minister of music. I've had firsthand encounters with money-hungry pastors who pretend to be holy and righteous from behind the pulpit, but quick to throw their employees under the bus for their own self-preservation. Shocking.
Yeah.
For example, one of my former pastors denied a recently widowed woman with kids financial help because she, quote, didn't pay her tithes.
Wow.
I argued that if she could contribute, she wouldn't need any help. I was told to remember my place. My livelihood was often in jeopardy if I didn't comply with the pastor's wishes. It was so bad that a doctor told me I was a candidate for ulcers if I didn't change some things in my life. I eventually left the church and can honestly say that I am extremely happy. Plus, it's nice having every weekend off to do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, it's glorious.
Yeah, it's so much upside when you leave. shows like yours have helped me deconstruct much of the spiritual abuse and bullshit I endured. I thank you for that. You guys are amazing and always bring a sinful yet satisfying smile to my face. If you guys grant me a title, and this is because Carlos has given us some money, so we are going to grant you this title. Carlos, you are now that gassy old dude who sings off key and shakes a tambourine at awkward moments.
All right.
Congratulations. We'll still give you some magic powers. I'm not sure which ones are associated with gassy old dude, but
Patriarch.
that's the truth of the thing. They are gassy old dudes, so that sounds about right. Anyway, thank you so much, Carlos, for that letter and for your contribution.
Yeah.
Do we have any other people to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have a new priest over on Patreon, Jim. So thank you, Jim.
All right.
And if you'd like to join all of our supporters in supporting the show, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. If you're looking for Patreon, it's over on the right. And as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan.
listen, are you a superstitious man? Do you have any superstitions that you cling to, that you hold to?
I've let go of the superstitions, but even though it wasn't part of like Mormonism, I grew up with the dumb ones, right? That you get told. And sometimes I'm still just like, don't walk under a ladder, right? Why not? Like, it seems more practical.
Step on cracks.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it seems more practical advice rather than superstition, right? Like,
well, yes, indeed.
What if the ladder slips or somebody falls off of it while you're underneath it, right? Like, it makes sense. The rule, don't walk under the ladder, makes sense. But the superstition that it's, 7 years bad luck or something like that?
Or whatever, yeah. I mean, I think that's how a lot of superstitions start. Certainly not all, but a lot of them start with something that's practical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a theater actor, and we theater people tend to have a lot of superstitions.
Oh, yeah.
There's a range.
Yeah.
But a lot of the superstitions that theater people have had honest starts. Like, for instance, you don't whistle in a theater.
Oh.
Nobody's supposed to whistle in a theater. Now, that started with the fact that back when they started to have set, like background set pieces, they would that would come flying in from above.
Yeah.
The only people that knew how to rig such a thing were sailors who were used to rigging rope systems.
Oh, sure.
That you could then, lower something and raise something. So they would call to each other. They would cue each other with sailor whistles.
Ah.
So if it was time to lower the house background, they'd give a little whistle, and then down would come the house background. But if you were backstage just whistling gleefully to yourself, you might cue a set piece to come in that wasn't meant to come in.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's the legend behind the you don't whistle in the theater.
Sounds legit.
But here's the thing. Superstitions are so dumb.
Well, what happens to you if you whistle in the theater? Like, what's connected is, because that's the thing. All these knock on wood. The thing you just said is going to happen if you don't knock on wood, right?
Right. Whistling in the theater is just like this sort of taboo, this bad luck thing. If, however, you break the taboo of saying the name of the Scottish play, Macbeth, in the theater, and you're not doing that play, there's a whole rigmarole you got to go through, and it's different for different traditions and whatever. But generally speaking, it's something along the lines of you have to leave the building. And you have to turn around 3 times and spit and say the worst swear word you can think of, and then ask for permission to re-enter the theater. There's a whole rigmarole.
Oh my God. Like in this day and age, I wouldn't say those words.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't say that word in the theater, but not because of superstition. It's just that a lot of people actually believe in the bad luck. And what you don't want is your fellow actors worrying about bad luck.
What do they think?
You're doing a show.
You're going to have a flop, or the opening night will be a disaster, or
that's any number of things.
Okay.
Or
trips and falls, people dying.
Every actor has if you're in theater long enough, you have a story about something happening. When I was in college, somebody said Macbeth backstage at a show, and then a set piece actually did fall on an actor.
Oh my God.
Probably didn't happen on the same night, but now the story forever is that it happened on the same night.
Right.
And it broke her collarbone or her shoulder bone. Or
Jesus
like that.
Christ.
It was a big, heavy set piece.
So you don't,
Anywho.
So nobody says Macbeth anymore.
No, nobody ever. Yeah, you're definitely not supposed to fuck with that one.
Right.
And I don't have any superstition about it whatsoever, but I still don't do it because there is a psychological question that comes into play.
Yeah.
But we got this. You had pointed out that one of the stories you were considering talking about,
Right,
was that Russia, the Russian, Putin and his things, they're genuinely worried that the West has developed psychic weaponry against them,
because they're so superstitious, right?
They're so superstitious.
And
it's funny because they are, and yes, the CIA did at some point do some research into psychics and telekinesis and all kinds of stuff.
But so did the Soviets back in the day.
So did everybody.
Yeah.
Like the reason that we know the name Yuri Geller is because I think he was being studied by, who was it? It was like Harvard professors or something who were genuinely buying his bullshit.
Right. They couldn't figure out how he could bend those spoons with his mind.
Yeah. Impossible. There's no way he's tricking us. Therefore, it must be true. Which, of course, all of it was exposed by the amazing Randy later on, which is great.
What did he have against spoons? Because it was always spoons. Right?
Bend a fork, man. You can't do forks? Anyway, it's funny. I was at a Chinese restaurant just yesterday and saw one of those lucky cats with the arm that goes up and down.
They're so cute.
And I just thought, there is so much. First of all, there is money to be made if you can convince somebody that something is lucky.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If you can convince a group of people, the Chinese culture there's a lot of luck shit in Chinese culture.
Yeah.
They have, they don't like the number 4, I think. I think that's their elevator. That's their version of 13.
Oh, okay.
Our elevators don't have a 13. Their elevators don't have a floor 4. They don't, like, I have a friend, listener to the show and friend of the show who married a Chinese guy, and she was at their family restaurant helping out. She was sweeping up and she was getting ready to sweep all of the dirt out the front door. Like you do. You don't want it in, you want it out. And the little Chinese grandma came running out yelling, no, because she would sweep the luck out of the restaurant.
Yeah. Huh.
And it's easy to look at the superstitions of other cultures and go, stupid.
Yeah.
And not necessarily turn inward and go, yeah, but dude, you wear the same socks every time your team plays.
Right.
Because
you don't want to.
You're convinced because the one time you didn't wear those socks, they lost.
Yeah. Because that's what's helping them win. That makes so much sense.
Well, and, that data point is all the proof anybody needs. You have one data. Have they lost while you were wearing the socks? Yes.
Right.
But that's not the point, apparently. superstition, magical thinking in general,
Mm.
is just so insidious. And here's the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, but like these things linger. The whole idea of tempting fate, right? By saying something that, you know, you really want to happen and you say it out loud, right? You're tempting fate. Like now it can't happen, right?
Well, the opposite is also true.
Mm.
This is what's amazing. Yes, you could jinx it
Mm-hmm.
by saying it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
But the opposite superstition is now much more popular, which is that you're putting it out into the universe,
Oh.
and the universe is going to deliver it to you.
That isn't correct. Yeah.
And guess what?
Yeah. Huh.
Neither is true.
Right.
Universe doesn't give a fuck what happens to you, but also saying a thing doesn't jinx it.
Right.
What is possibly true is that there are psychological reasons why you may or may not want to speak aloud your goals.
Hmm.
I haven't done any research into that. I know that I have seen that sometimes actually saying your goals too many times can trick your brain into thinking that you've actually done the thing. And
Okay.
therefore you reduce the chance that you'll fully achieve it, because somewhere in your brain the reward center has already rewarded you for doing it because you've talked about it so much.
Hmm.
But I don't know about that. I don't know a lot about that sort of thing. What I do know is a lot of people feel like their belief in luck or their belief in magical thinking is actually positive in their lives.
Hmm.
And I don't know about that. I don't have enough data to question that. But yeah, a lot of people feel better because if they walk into their meeting and they have their lucky pen with them,
Hmm.
they feel a little more confident. And I think that there's something to that.
Sure.
Something to the ritual of that. I feel more confident when I have imbued this object with the sort of psychological concept of my own confidence, and therefore, while I'm holding it, I remind myself to be confident or whatever. But what happens when you forget the pen?
Now you panic.
Now you fucked yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of imbuing you with that confidence, you've externalized it.
Yeah.
And made it something that's not about yourself. That strikes me as a bad idea.
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that specifically, like, the whole, it's obvious the scenario you just described. It's kind of a little imposter syndrome thing, right? Like where you're like not fully believing in yourself. So you have this little ritual or whatever, little object. And that, I mean, there can be a psychological need, right, for these things.
Yeah.
I think maybe not overdoing it, right? Like if that makes you feel a little bit better for whatever reason, maybe don't cold turkey it, but you need to work through it,
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, it was a joking thing of knocking on wood. Oh, knock on wood, right?
Right.
But then at a certain point, I realized, wait, if I don't knock on wood, right? Like I actually feel like a compulsion now.
Yeah.
So like, I just said something and they don't walk on wood, right? So
even if it starts as a joke or as something innocent,
I didn't believe
your brain
it.
could latch onto it.
Yeah, I rationally did not believe it. And yet there was still a little bit of a compulsion there. I don't feel that anymore, right? But
you can work your way out of it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy, as our brains are kind of wired for superstition.
Yeah.
So it's pretty I've done the same thing. I've worked myself into a thing where it's like you do the thing as a joke, you do the thing as because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You believe, you want to just do tarot cards because it's kind of cute and fun and whatever.
Right.
And then like you start to not want to fuck with it.
Right. Well,
And then it becomes a thing that your brain kind of locks into a little bit.
Well,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then and that's when it becomes like, oh shit, this thing has a little bit of control over me.
yeah. I mean, it's not it wasn't super, I mean, it is superstition, but like it was presented as religion, saying a blessing on your fucking dinner.
Yeah.
It's still to this day, if I sit down to dinner with a bunch of people and we all pause before starting to eat, and someone will invariably make the joke of who's going to say the blessing, right? Because
it feels,
all my friends are ex-Mormon, right? So
right.
And it's like, so culturally we all sort of share that, and we all clearly feel it because somebody sooner or later will kind of make the joke. We just had a big dinner for New Year's Eve and somebody made the joke.
Yeah.
And it's just like, these things are insidious, because, oh my God, this food is not going to nourish and strengthen my body unless I ask dear Heavenly Father to do it.
Unless Jesus makes it nourishing.
Unless we do it in the name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, a lot of people leave their church, but don't leave behind the magical thinking. They hold on to some part of their magical thinking, and I don't blame them. That doesn't make you stupid or anything like that.
No.
But I think that there are potential negative consequences to it.
Mm.
When you give away your autonomy, your power, in favor of some thing out there that you have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the car's got to drive by 3 times or it's not going to, whatever the fuck it is.
All right.
You're literally just handicapping yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm against it. I don't like it myself.
Dan has an official position, everyone.
It's not for me. Anyway, but I would like to hear from our listeners. I would like to hear, what are your superstitions? What do you like about them? I'm sure there are people who feel really good about their, some superstitious belief that they've got. And I want to hear about it.
Well, I want to hear about the processing out of it, right? Like, what superstition did you have that now you look back on and think is really funny?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I am sure that some stories will be forthcoming. Please feel free to write into us. We want to hear about it. The place to do so, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message and tell us all about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. Just go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only to join.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank you to all of you for tuning in. We really appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.